Hello, everyone. This is Miguel. I am so excited that you would be connected here today. I'm so excited that we could actually dialogue in this moment. My name is Miguel Lebron. I'm a personal growth strategist, and I'm the host of Strategy Rewind, a podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategies needed for a breakthrough moment. Of course, in the month of February, I have determined that I will go live every single day on the Wisdom application. So I've actually been going live every day on the Wisdom application. And those conversations then lead into the Strategy Rewind podcast. So, for those who are listening from the Strategy Rewind podcast, from whatever platform you're listening to, thank you. And I would encourage you to go ahead and download the Wisdom app. It allows you to ask questions and become part of the conversation, which, by the way, as you're joining the room right here, right now on the Wisdom app, and you'd like to join the conversation, do not be shy. Go ahead and hit that button, become a guest, and let's have a dialogue. We're talking about momentum. Don't lose it. Momentum. When we talk about momentum, momentum is so hard to get. Let's be honest. Momentum is very difficult to obtain because what happens is that when you first start doing something, when you determine in your heart that you're going to, take up swimming, let's say, or you're going to start going to the gym, or you're going to start bike riding, or you're going to start reading a book, or when you determine in your heart, I'm going to do this thing which is different from what you've done before, what's going to happen is that initially you're going to feel weird. Can we be honest? Initially, as you're starting off with this new routine, you're going to feel weird. You're going to even doubt if you're doing it correctly. You're going to think you're doing it wrong. You're going to think it's not going to work. It's a waste of time. Whatever task you have determined to do this year, as you have begun doing it, initially, you're going to feel very out of place. And that's because you are. You are out of place because you are stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone. In your comfort zone, you don't do the things that are going to stretch you out. In your comfort zone, you don't do the things that challenge you. In your comfort zone, you don't do the things that are hard. In the comfort zone, you don't do the things that make you feel silly or make you think everyone's watching me, everyone is talking about how dumb I look right now. In the comfort zone, that's what happens. Right? In the comfort zone, you feel comfortable. You don't think about any of those things. You don't think about anything else because, well, you're good. You feel comfortable. It's when you leave the comfort zone, that's when you begin to say, people are looking at me. It's when you leave the comfort zone, that's when you begin to say, people looking at me like I'm dumb, like I don't know what I'm doing. It's when you leave the comfort zone that you start thinking about those things. And that's because in the initial attempt of this new habit, of this new routine, whether it be riding a bike, whether it be cooking or baking or opening yourself up to new possibilities, relationship, promotions, etc. When you engage in those things, you feel uncomfortable because you're leaving the comfort zone and you feel uncomfortable because, well, you're doing something you had not done before. And that's the challenge. You're stepping outside of the comfort zone. And so now what happens is that if you decide, if you commit, I'm going to go beyond that feeling of I'm not doing it right, that feeling of people are looking at me, that feeling of people are going to criticize me, that feeling of who do I think I am going to the gym, or who do I think I am trying to ride a bike, who do I think I am taking up baking? Like those feelings, as you decide I'm going to continue, that voice actually diminishes. But here's the thing, that voice comes back around. That's the thing that it seems like nobody talks about. Like that voice that you're doing it wrong, that voice is in the beginning part. This is why they say that the first step is the hardest. I tend to believe that the first step is the easiest because you know what you have to do. I think what's harder sometimes is step number 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Why? Because as you take that first step, you may feel good, but if you look around to your left and to your right, you'll say, oh, wait a minute, I'm leaving my comfort zone a little. Yeah, this feels good, but I also feel kind of silly. So if you persist beyond that feeling, if you persist beyond those thoughts, you'll actually challenge your limited mindset. You'll challenge these ideas and concepts that are not real, but rather are a byproduct either of your environment or your past or whatever may have you, right? Of failed attempts from before. Oftentimes people try to say, okay, I'm going to take up cooking, and then they burn the souffle or something, right? They burn the rice, they burn the meal, and then it's like, man, this was atrocious, this was horrible, I'm not going to try this again. Some time passes by, they determine, you know what, I'm going to pick that habit back up. I'm going to try it once again. Of course, this time they're working against the doubt, they're working against the fear, they're working against the feeling that I'm doing it wrong, they're working against this mindset that you're going to fail, and they have to build momentum. They have to build momentum. And so, if you today are starting your goal, or you've already started to advance towards your goal for this year, the last thing you want to lose is momentum. Listen to me. You can lose the desire because those are feelings. And as a friend of mine once said, you're going to get new ones. Right? It's like, I don't feel like doing it. So what? Do it anyways. Do it anyways. I don't feel like going to the gym. Do it anyways. I don't feel like working out. Do it anyways. I don't feel like, then hit it even harder. Go even harder. Why? Because if you justify yourself when you don't feel like doing it, guess what? You're not going to do it when you have to do it. You're just not going to do it. You know why? Because you're interrupting momentum. And I'll tell you, for me, today I went to the gym and I had no desire to go. I'm not going to lie. I had no desire to go. I was dealing with a headache that persisted the entire day. The entire day persisted this headache, and I was debating, should I stay or should I go? That's what I was thinking. Should I stay or should I go? But then I got up and I said, I'm going. Then I got up and I said, I'm going. And I'm going to tell you something. Me and my workout partner, we stood there longer than normal. He was like, "You done?" I was like, "Nope, not yet." "You done now?" "Nope, not yet." "What about now?" "No, I'm not done yet. I'm gonna keep going now because I'm here." And what happens is that when we don't feel like doing it, when we lose motivation, what happens is that we say, "I'm not motivated right now. I'm not gonna do it." Listen, if you're not feeling motivated, it's because you lost the momentum. Or remember those voices that you heard at the beginning of starting your journey? They've come back around. Remember those voices that in the beginning of your process told you you're dumb, you don't know what you're doing, you look silly. Remember those voices? Those voices, they've come back around. We assume that when we start doing something good for ourselves and leaning into personal growth, we make the assumption that the world is going to shift and bend and move into my favor. Ladies and gentlemen, that ain't how that works. That ain't how that works. You're still going to have to fight the giants and the dragons. Every story, every fairy tale story. I was actually talking to my daughter. My oldest daughter is 9 years old. She's going to be 10 soon. And I was talking to her and I asked her this question. I said, "How many fairy tale stories have you seen?" And she said, "A lot, of course." "How many have you read?" She loves books. She's like, "I've read a lot, of course." I said, "Great. Tell me a common theme in all of them." She's like, "Well, in the story of fairy tale story, oftentimes there's a kingdom. Oftentimes there's a princess, there's a king, there's a ruler, there's somebody who wants to kill the princess, take the kingdom, there's somebody who decides to stand up and fight." And I said, "And what else is there?" She was like, "Well, that's it." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you're missing some parts." And she's like, "What am I missing?" I said, "You've spoken about a lot of good things, but you're missing some parts." She said, "What is it that I'm missing?" And I said, "You are missing the fact that whoever decides to embark on the journey, to save the princess or retrieve the treasure, they will encounter. And before I finished the sentence, she said problems. And I said more specific, dragons and giants. I need you to see this, ladies and gentlemen. Those voices that intimidated you in your past, they will come back. In the moment that you lack the motivation, in the moment where you're tired, where you had a long day, where at work they ran you through the ringer, because there are these days that you go to work and you're like, goodness, am I the only one working here? And those are those days where you look at your calendar and you say, oh yeah, that's right, I still got to work out today. If you allow yourself to say, nah, not today, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to come, and then you know what you're going to say? I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow is going to come, and you're like, oh, that's right, I didn't do it. Goodness gracious. And you're going to feel horrible because you know that you are delaying in your process. You're like, oh my goodness, I said I was going to go. And then what happens is that oftentimes this one bad move, this one bad action leads to another bad action. Like we say, okay, I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to do this thing today because I feel tired or whatever the case may be. And so we go back to what makes us feel comfortable. We go backwards to whatever makes us feel comfortable, right? Instead of going to the gym, we eat some Ben and Jerry's, right? Instead of going, right, baking or studying or whatever it is that you're desiring to accomplish this year, instead of leaning into that because we feel bad, because we feel like there's no motivation, because we had a difficult day, because we feel down, we say, I'll do it tomorrow, but then we lean back into the old habit. And ladies and gentlemen, it is in that moment that momentum is under attack. It is in that moment that momentum is under attack by the dragons and the giants that do not want you to obtain the treasure. By the voices that told you before, you ain't going to do nothing, so don't even try. By the limiting thoughts, by those toxic traits, all of that will come back. And if you in the journey have felt like you failed before, this time it'll come back again and you'll say, yeah, I failed once, I shouldn't even try. This is why statistically people don't make it to March with their goals. We are only midway 50 days, right? We haven't even reached 100 days of the year, so we're midway with those 100 days. So think about that. We're only 50 some odd days in the year. If you decide to take your foot off the gas pedal now, before you see it, you're going to open your eyes and it's going to be June, July. It's going to be bikini season. It's going to be it's going to be summertime. It's going to be the gun show. You know what I mean? It's going to be that moment where you're like, man, I was going to be, I wanted to be, I was going to do, I was supposed to do. That anniversary is going to come around. You're like, man, I wanted to do this by this time. That school reunion is going to come on. You're like, man, I wanted to do it by this time. The time that you separated for vacations, I'm like, man, I wanted to do this. But then you're going to pull back because you're going to realize you did not plant enough seeds. And if you don't put down enough seeds when the sun is at its hottest, you will not have enough shade. I am encouraging you today, ladies and gentlemen, do not lose momentum. You say, Miguel, I don't feel like it. I know. I didn't feel like it today. That's what I'm telling you. I went. I didn't feel like it today, but I went. Because the one thing I don't want to lose is momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have momentum on your side, do not lose it. Somebody else may tell you forget it, but you got to stay laser focused. And maybe you were like, nah, yesterday was a good day. I don't care what happened yesterday. Your job, if you're writing down some notes right now, here's what I want you to write down. Ready? Your job, this is your job. Write this down. Outwork yesterday. That's your job. If you're taking down notes right now, write outwork yesterday. This whole thing of outwork everyone, I don't care what everyone is doing. I need to be laser focused on my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish. And so should you. So don't try to outwork your neighbor because you don't care. Like, hey, I love your neighbor, but I'm going in for me. It's like a buffet. You don't eat for your neighbor, you eat for you, right? So you gotta go in. You got to go in. You can't delay. So remove this idea of outwork everyone. You're not in competition with anybody. The idea is outwork yesterday. And if yesterday you think you hit it hard, go back at it again because yesterday is gone. Don't leave for tomorrow what you can do today. And don't lose momentum because, yes, the giants and the dragons will come around and they will attempt to derail you from your journey. But if you persist, if you every day dedicate yourself, every moment, every hour, and you remind yourself, I'm outworking yesterday. I want to outwork myself yesterday. I want to outwork yesterday. See, my intention is outwork yesterday. I want to outwork yesterday so much that tomorrow is scared because it knows I'm coming. That's the idea. Outwork yesterday so much today that tomorrow is scared because it knows you coming. It knows you're coming. It knows you hungry. And it knows that you're gonna make move because you understand the power of momentum. Maybe right now you're feeling like you can't see beyond the dark clouds and difficult moment. I want to encourage you to head over to miguellebron.com and there you can set up a free 30-minute clarity call. What have you got to lose? It seems dark right now. It seems dark right now. What have you got to lose? This clarity call could be what changes your year. This could be what changes your perspective. This can be what changes everything and allows you to regain momentum. So go ahead, visit miguellebron.com, set up that free 30-minute clarity call today. And in the meantime, and in between time, surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision.